Hope Lunch Bunch is February the 18th at 11:30 at Mi Pueblo Mexican. Contact Mary Baird, right there, if you'll be attending. Please come, it's a lot of fun. Game night is February 19th at 6:30. Bring a game and a snack. Excuse me. February 22nd, the Adult Book Forum is a discussion of the book on tyranny. So try to read it before that.
It's a quick read.
Yeah. CYRE has a brief survey that they would like for you to take. It's in highlights. Excuse me. Okay, Policy Day of Action is March 3rd from 10 to 3. February, there's a Justice Jam at All Souls, February 15th at 1 p.m. There's a letter in the lobby written to Governor Stitt by the Action Committee. Please sign it. It's a worthwhile letter to sign. I'll let you read it.
If you're thinking, oh no, I didn't get my joy and concern in today, don't worry, we'll do this again next week after we've gone through it once to see what it looks like. As we gather today, let us pause to honor our commitment to community by sharing our joys and concerns. This special moment invites us to reflect on our hopes and dreams, acknowledge our troubles and sorrows, and embrace all the feelings that connect us. Before the service, you are invited to write your joy or concern on a slip of paper. Now, as each slip is read aloud, a candle will be lit to symbolize the light we bring to one another, whether in celebration or in support. Let us listen with open hearts, holding space for each other's stories and experience. The one we have today is from Anita W. I'll be explaining why I'm doing things a certain way. Because we record, I won't be giving first and last names. I'll just be giving first names and initials. So Anita W. has a niece with a glioblastoma and would like you to remember that in your thoughts, your prayers, and your feelings. And then I have one more to light. Sorry, we're learning. We always light one more candle for all the joys and concerns left unspoken. Thanks, David.
The reading today is an excerpt from the letter from the Birmingham jail by Martin Luther King, Jr. While confined here in the Birmingham City Jail, I came across your recent statement calling my present activities unwise and untimely. Seldom do I pause to answer criticism of my work and ideas. If I sought to answer all the criticisms that crossed my desk, my secretaries would have little time for anything else other than such correspondence in the course of the day. And I would have no time for constructive work. But since I feel that you are men of genuine goodwill and that your criticisms are sincerely set forth, I want to try to answer your statement in what I hope will be a patient and reasonable terms.
If UUs were to create a Bible or a collection of letters that they found to be inspired, that they could go back to over and over again, I bet Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's letter from the Birmingham jail would be in that Bible. His letter from the Birmingham jail so eloquently explores King's world, a world of discrimination and pain. In it, he paints a picture of two perspectives, that of the African American and that of the white person. In the letter, we see that those two perspectives are generally parallel. However, they do not cross. And when they do, it can be tragic. On one side, on the side of privilege, we find white obliviousness to the plight of the African American. Thing twisted, I'm sorry. And on the other side, an inherent knowledge that is, in a moment's notice, the weight of privilege in Jim Crow. I'm sorry, I misread that. Let me get that out real quick. All right, sorry about that. And on the other side, an inherent knowledge that at a moment's notice, the weight of Jim Crow could crush them, leaving child without parent, sister without brother, and mother without child. In it, he articulates that it's not just Bull Connors, the KKK members, or the blatant racists that keep the system in place. He reminds us that it's the white moderate that defends this system. Most definitely, he says this in his letter: I must make two honest confessions to you, my Christian and Jewish brothers. First, I must confess that over the past few years, I've been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride towards freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice. It is order that infects the white person. Whiteness often chooses order because for many the world is built on comfort. Whiteness desires comfort. Whiteness places comfort on a pedestal and worships it at an altar, paying for it through the sacrifice of the other. See, it's easy for the white liberal to decry racism, to notice the parallel between having two Super Bowl performances as the same as having two water fountains or two bathrooms. It's easy for the white liberal to declare love for the Bad Bunny Super Bowl show. It's easy for them to mock the alternative version. But it can be difficult for us when we walk into a situation where whiteness is the numerical minority. It's uncomfortable for us when we're surrounded by people speaking different languages, making different assumptions about life, presenting vulnerabilities that we take for granted. However, King writes in his letter, out of respect for the white liberal response to the direct action which landed him in jail. At this time, King is surrounded by some law and order progressives who don't understand that sometimes you have to draw attention to the injustice. You have to make the injustice public, and you have to draw attention to the hidden evil that only comes out when pushed. Today, the white liberal loves direct action. They crave it. Now, you might be getting tired of hearing the phrase, the white liberal. Like, this isn't a gathering of white liberalism. You might be asking, why continue to decry white liberalism when we know that it's conservative fundamentalism that is causing the problems? It is conservative fundamentalism that has created the constitutional crisis. It's conservative fundamentalism that encourages us to cry Nazi when we watch ICE agents move through the streets of Minneapolis. In fact, wouldn't it be better use of our time to break down the tyranny arising in the state instead of talking about those who are just trying to fix the problem? And we must remember that in many ways, Unitarian Universalism is at the center of white liberalism. Oh, we're working on it. We're working towards the creation of a more colorful and exuberant faith. But when we gather, there is no doubt that even though our president is a woman of color, we are still a white faith. I'm going to take a drink real quick. You can think about that for a second. But I digress. I was talking about the white liberals' love of direct action. which we often see as the crucial point in any fight against tyranny. Let's explore what King says about direct action for a minute. Direct action has caused many changes in this country and in this world. Direct action, specifically peaceful direct action, has shifted in the past the power balance and has caused instability in the maintenance of white supremacy. However, there is a problem. Our playbook is public, and that means anyone can see it. Over time, the prophets of regression have begun to use our playbook against us. That is the immediate jump to direct action, especially if we define direct action as a protest. In Montgomery, the direct action was the refusal of African Americans to use the buses. In Selma, it was the willingness to put life on the line to bring to light the evil that hides in law and order, to face hoses, dogs, and violent law enforcement for the movement. These things became the preparation, the inciting factor of what would later become the March on Washington, where 200,000 people stood in solidarity to protest unethical treatments of African Americans. See, the march itself did not happen without the prior direct actions that energized a country. And how do we prepare ourselves for the inevitability that some of our bodies will be broken in these actions and in this faith? Of course, marches and rallies tend to be doing less and less and making fewer and fewer changes. Their effectiveness seems to be waning. And the issue may not be that they're using our playbook against us. The issue may be that we're using our playbook wrong. Consider the statement in the letter from the Birmingham jail. In any nonviolent campaign, there are 4 basic steps: collection of the facts, to determine whether injustice exists, negotiation, self-purification, and direct action. And this is from King's letter from the Birmingham jail. See, in community organizing, step 1 is a power analysis. It asks the question, from whence does power flow? Who has the power to make changes, and who do we need to talk to if we want to see things change? A good example of this is if you've worked with Action, the IAF organizing collective. You've probably heard this before, because before we can talk to anybody with power, before we can negotiate, before we can make any plans, we must talk to the people most affected. One of the problems is a real commitment, one of the problems in a real commitment to making change is that we want to skip this part, because this part's not fun. It's not attractive. It requires pounding the pavement. The fact is, real power analysis takes time and sweat, but without it, our decisions can be suspect. Once we have the power analysis, we can identify the problem, and with community involvement and community backing, we can find out with whom we should negotiate and what we should negotiate for. Oftentimes, many of us white liberals like to do the fun part. We would like to cause the trouble. We'd like to be seen causing the trouble. However, if we do that without the buy-in of the affected population, then all we're doing is continuing the practice of white supremacy. There is this community organizing collective in Jackson, Mississippi, created by African Americans in an African American community operated by African Americans. That doesn't mean there were no white people involved in it. It just means that the people who didn't live in the community didn't have the same level of input. They didn't have the same duties. And this idea rubbed some volunteers the wrong way, and many white people would come in and ask, "How can I help?" And the answer did not thrill the volunteers. They would say things like, "Would you empty the garbage? Would you wash the dishes? We need someone to watch the kids. Or can you stick around till the end and help us put tables down?" It wasn't sexy work. It wasn't exciting work. There was no speaking involved. There was no holding of signs. There was no marching around. There was no visibility. But it was the work the community needed. And that's the difference. What the white people didn't understand is that the community needed to see African Americans in the front, in African American leaders. What we might find during a power analysis is that what we really want to do is not the thing we need to do. There is a fervent desire to be visible, to be loud, or to take direct action. On a national stage, you see people getting arrested. And that's one of the things they mark as a pride on their Facebook posts. Got arrested today. However, that can often cause more harm than good. What I appreciate about the work of the IAF, they're willing to take the slow route, to build power so that the people most affected have the tools to make their own lives better. They understand justice is a marathon, not a sprint. Now remember the 4 points. We're going to go back to this. We're moving through them. The first one was research. We just talked about. Negotiate. Self-purification. Direct action. We're on the second point, negotiation. And one of the things that's important about negotiation is that it must be done in good faith. It's not appropriate to walk into a good faith negotiation and pick a fight on day one. Now, that doesn't mean a fight is never picked. It just means that the negotiation has to begin in good faith. There are clear places in history, in the history of the civil rights movement, where fights were picked by the people leading the movement, by the people leading the action, because futility halts forward motion. Remember, the goal is change. However, these people were generally part of the affected population. They understood there were consequences to that fight they picked. They understood that it could end tragically for them and the people who looked like them that weren't even there. And don't forget the context of the Birmingham letter. Dr. King is sitting in a prison cell as an agitator. And some of his white supporters are saying that he's being inexpeditious, that it's not a good time for direct action. It's that direct action makes the movement look bad. And why is he in Birmingham anyway? Doesn't he live in Atlanta? To which he says, I was invited here. And then he goes on to say, and I am in Birmingham because injustice is here. So he goes on to say this, I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied to a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Never again can we afford to live with the narrow, provincial, outside agitator idea. Anyone who lives inside the United States can never be considered an outsider anywhere within its bounds. Remember, the context of this letter, King is defending direct action. He's talking about things that can be put, or things that can put the body in danger. King is saying that we did not just come here to cause trouble. We took our time. We did our research, and we negotiated We followed a process. He would go on to say, however, that he felt like white liberals were being harder on him than on the system of oppression itself. And this brings us to step 3 in his 4-point plan: self-purification. Religious liberals like to skip step 3. Sounds too religious. However, Dr. King highlights it in something important. He goes on to say this: mindful of the duties involved, we decided to undertake a process of self-purification. We began a series of workshops on nonviolence, and we repeatedly asked ourselves, are you able to accept the blows without retaliating? Are you able to endure the ordeal of jail? Because remember, all actions must be nonviolent. And it doesn't matter if the aggressor uses violence. Can you take a hit and not fight back? Can you take being called all manner of things without responding? And are you willing to let your body be broken for what you believe is right? It's easy to skip the step of self-purification because people don't like to think about this concept. People don't like to think that this action could lead to their death or the death of others. And many are unwilling to go that far. And the thing is, that's okay. We don't always have to go that far. There is no shame in believing there is something to live for. The point is that skipping the process of self-purification means we do not know how we feel, how far we're willing to go, having not thought about the consequences of our action. But what is self-purification? King goes on to talk about trainings and other opportunities to be together, because King understands there is nothing more dangerous in direct action than someone who is not prepared for the consequences. Self-purification might be prayer, meditation, or listening to something that brings peace to the soul, and it might be a training. Self-purification is a process that must be completed before one can clearly say they are prepared to take action. However, there are various levels of direct action. A No King's March, which many of us attend, offers a reduced chance of violence. However, the direct actions taking place in Minneapolis are much different. It has become clear in Minneapolis people are putting their lives on the line. To prepare for this, they gathered together, they sang together, they worshiped together. In the weeks that follow, we will sing the songs that were written in Minneapolis. We will honor what they're doing, especially since we don't have the same fight here. See, a few weeks ago, there was a call out to clergy to go to Minneapolis. It was not a loose call. When they arrived, the first place they went was to a church for preparation, both emotional and physical, because they needed to go through self-purification. Self-purification is inherently spiritual in nature. It asks questions of the soul, yet it is still a practice. During this process, they're singing songs, saying prayers, and building their spirit. They're also learning about legal processes of who to call if you get arrested. It's a bulwark against the storm of tyranny, against the voice of authoritarianism, and against the violence that exists in men's hearts. Remember what King said: we research, we negotiate, we practice self-purification, then direct action. He would go on to say that the direct action had purpose. It wasn't just to cause trouble, and he says this: why direct action? Why sit-ins, marches, and so forth? Isn't negotiation a better path? You are quite right in calling for negotiation. Indeed, this is the very purpose of direct action. Nonviolent direct action seeks to create a crisis and foster such tension that a community which has constantly refused to negotiate is forced to confront the issue. It seeks so to dramatize the issue that it can no longer be ignored. But to do this, remember the spiritual practice that must take place. Remember the preparation that asks the challenging questions. And remember, it's a movement of people, individuals gathered for a common cause, individuals lending their power to a greater good. Without doing this work at the beginning, the individual forgets they are part of a movement. It is the individual that doesn't want to be called names that yells back. It is the individual who can't bear the powerlessness, so they throw a stone. It is the individual asserting themselves over the movement that can destroy the goodwill created by the action. It is that individual that ends up on the right-wing news so that we can all be called evil members of Antifa. As we continue to watch what happens and decide what role we will play, don't forget your spirituality. Don't forget your soul. Most of all, don't forget that we are not alone. Bless you, and I hope your actions, your self-purification, and your hope all stay strong. Thank you. Our generosity recipient for February is Family Promise. Please make checks out to Hope Unitarian Church and put generosity in the memo line. Checks with no notation will be applied to your pledge or to the operating fund. Cash donations that are not marked will go towards the generosity recipient. Please give with hope for the future to build something new. Let's say our thank you. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves at fires we did not light. We sit at the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. We are ever bound in community. At this time, I would invite you to rise and body your spirit as we sing hymn number 1017, that is in the teal hymnal, called Building a New Way. Hymn 1017, Building a New Way. Let's work on that one some more. We need to throw it in a little more often.
Okay.
Let's extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame,
but not to light the truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
In all the things we do to make this a better world, don't forget your soul. Don't forget the spiritual part. Don't forget to feed it, because that's how we know how to move forward.